Hi, this is Lori from Chickenwood Studio, coming to you from upstate New York, where it's on the edge of spring, um, further behind than many places in the world, but it's a beautiful sunny day, and I just wanted to try something new and come and visit with you outside on the porch. The chickens are out and about, excuse me, digging and scratching in the leaves and the bushes. The daffodil tips are up, maybe 4 or 5 inches, so nothing's in bloom, but the grass is finally greening up and no leaves on the trees or anything. I was going to sit in a way that you could see all that, but then it was so bright out there that it was all shadow on the screen. So maybe I'll take a few still shots if you even care. I mean, it's just countryside, but I love it, and I'm really thankful that I can be here today and have a chance to sit down and record and catch up with you about all the stuff that I've been up to. It seems like it's been a long time, probably 3 weeks now, maybe. I'm not sure. I don't have a goal of how often I want to be able to do it, but um, it's just nice to catch up when I can. I've really enjoyed watching several other podcasts lately, and it seems like there's new ones popping up all the time. And that's such a fun thing to meet new people out there in podcast land. Two that I saw for the first time this week were Mandarines with Melody, and she recommended Loop and Bar podcast with Kate over in Wales. And I enjoyed both of them so much. They both really made me inspired to keep at what I'm doing, and in spite of mistakes, just to keep up with projects and things, um, even when you hit obstacles and make mistakes and struggle with things. Kate was saying that in reference to a sweater she was making, and it was very true. It's you don't learn unless you make mistakes. You learn a lot more if you do, and I found that to be true in many ways in my crafting experience. So I'm excited to be outside and show you some whips, a few FOs, catch up with you on some sewing things and spinning. Not much in the area of acquisitions, but a little bit of weaving news. And that's it for now. I'm sure there'll be some tangents along the way. So I'm going to start with the FOs, which I'm so excited about. Probably have to lean out of the picture. I have everything out here, but it's kind of all falling on the ground. Hang on. Oh dear. So anyway, so the big news was Duchess of Devonshire shawl. That's the back of it. Silly me. No, that's the back of it. Here she is, the lovely Duchess, blocked and finished. And maybe even I'll need to wear it today to keep warm out on the cool porch. Yes, it's so lovely. Thanks, Kay Jones, for designing it, and it's a lovely pattern to follow. Great yarn to knit it with. I have my hat out there behind me on the porch swing because of Kate Davies' hat book coming up. I have so enjoyed all the gorgeous photos from Shetland when she visited and collaborated with some Shetlanders on her haps and projects. I was involved with the Hap Along with Louise from Knit British last fall, and I made this one. Actually, it's Gudrun Johnson's Hansel Hap with hand-spun Romney and a little bit of Nash Island, which is the white. I dyed the purple and the blue and the green, but that's all Nash Island as well, hand-spun. Lovely pattern to knit, lovely tradition to follow, and I look forward to the next one I get to make. Okay, there. I'm just fixing something on the screen. So that was that one. Here's the hat that I told you about last couple times. The snow slide hat in the monster green. It's a little dark now, actually, in the shade, but I think I'm going to stick with it. You can see when the sun shines on that, it's so beautiful. Stitch definition and fits great. It's really cute. My daughter's already claimed it, which is fine. I'll make another one someday. And when I was looking for this hat in her bag of hats, I found this hat, which was the first thing I had done on the Shetland a knitting belt and long pins when I returned from Shetland a year and a half ago. It's Kate Davies' Snawheed hat. Lovely pattern. It's Jameson and Smith jumper weight yarn, sort of a white and a gray. I think my pom-pom leaves a little to be desired. Maybe that's why she didn't wear it that much. I don't know. But she loves it. Hey, we hadn't even had a winter this year. Nobody wore many hats. So that was a success. And the last FO for today, what I am calling my lighthouse socks. They are, I started them when I was sitting by the lighthouse in Maine last fall. And the colors just reminded me so much of the seascape out there with the ocean and the waves and the orange periwinkles and shells on the beach and etc. So these are the ones with that sweet tomato heel, which, go away, Bee. You can see it a lot better now now that they're blocked. They have a series of wedges on them, 2, 3, 4, to round out the heel. And I haven't even tried them on since blocking because I wanted to keep them all nice and fresh for you. I did a twisted 1x1 rib, and now I can't even remember what my cast off was. Super loose though, super stretchy. I have no clue. It's been a while. Oh well. So those are the FOs, and I think I'll move on to the whips because several of them I hadn't gotten much progress on, ones that I told you about other times. But a few of them I really did focus on and worked a lot on. One of them is the socks, the white socks from the book, In the Footsteps of Sheep. I finished one sock. It's not blocked yet, so it'll be totally different when it's blocked, but I did finish the sock, did a super stretchy, I did that, maybe it's the same as down there, yeah, I think it's generally the knit one, slip it back on the left needle, and knit through the back of both. Knit 2 together through the back. Slip it back on the left needle, knit 2 together through the back. That was a little too tight, so in the row before I started the cast off here, I did knit 1, purl 1, yarn over, knit 1, purl 1, yarn over, or knit 1, yarn over, purl 1. Anyway, there was a yarn over between every 2 stitches, so it gave me enough extra when I finally did it that I think it'll be fine. So that's the lovely Collins, what was that called? Collins Castle Milk Morit sock from Debbie Zawinski's book. I have the book back, so I'll show you that if I can find it. So I'm this far up on the second sock. I'm just getting the foot done. Pretty soon I'll start the heel, toe up, heel gusset pattern. Here's the book. In the Footsteps of Sheep, Debbie Zawinski. Lovely, lovely. If you can get your hands on it, I highly recommend it. Full of gorgeous photos, interesting stories, and lovely patterns, and focusing on different breeds and different island groups where she visited in Scotland. Such a treasure. I know I say that a lot, but that's how I feel about these things. Let's see. So that was that whip, and I'd have just three others pretty much to show you knitting wise. Well, and then a crochet one. This is an update on the heathered cardigan, which I'm doing out of hand spun Romney. This was 3-ply. I applied it pretty thin, and then when I put 3 together, it's so light and fluffy and soft. And I'm knitting, I think, on a size 6, so it's a loose gauge, but really light and comfortable. It's going to be cozy enough for spring or fall over a little top or a dress, if I ever make one of those things. Actually, I have made one, so that's going to be in the sewing update for today. This is a top-down heathered cardigan. Don't think it's in my Ravelry projects yet. It has a textured yoke and stockinette sleeves. Pretty simple, but it has a really nice effect on the yoke, I think. In the back is like this. Yeah. And I had dyed this in an indigo pot, but I don't know if I dyed it long enough or cooked it long enough. A lot of the blue came out and it left it a pretty pretty charcoaly gray, which is fine with me. I love it. It's one of my new faves. So, and this is a new bag that I made. I don't know if I showed you this last time. This was an old scrap from an old project of upholstery fabric, and it's, where did I find this bag pattern? This is a bag pattern. I don't remember. I'm so sorry. I'll see if I can find that out and note that somewhere. It was interesting pulling the bag through the little tiny straps at the end. But I needed a bag. It looks huge there, big enough to hold this project in. I didn't want to have a zipper. So I'm really pleased with that. I had some old lining fabric hanging around. Then the Gansey update. It's coming. I found that when I was working on it so much, I started having shoulder pain. And when I stopped knitting for a couple days, the shoulder pain eased up a little bit. And I was kind of heartbroken to think that I had to stop knitting or knit less when I was trying to knit more to get things done. And really enjoying the knitting belt and the whole process. I've gotten a little farther. I haven't moved this in a couple podcasts, so it's slow going in one sense, but it's pretty hefty in another. I was in to see the physical therapist for an Achilles problem, which I've been working on yesterday, and I asked him about the shoulder, and he thinks it's primarily an issue of posture, and gave me some ideas about how to support my back and make sure my shoulders are not hunched and slouched, which I think I tend to be when I'm working on those things, the needles and things. So I'm going to really work on rolling up something behind my lower back and thinking about that more. The funny thing was, I told him the reason I noticed it, I've been knitting a lot, and et cetera, et cetera. And then the first thing he said was, well, we don't want you to stop knitting because we don't want that to be a lost art. My grandmother and my mother made some nice things, et cetera, et cetera. I had to laugh and tell him, I don't think you have any idea how many people are knitting nowadays and picking it up and learning it and loving it. But it's not just for grannies anymore. But I don't think the general public gets that quite yet. We're still among the minority, the eccentric minority. I don't mind being eccentric, but if we can teach more people to knit and just to be able to enjoy craft, I'm all for it. So Gansey, it's coming along. I think that was really it for what I'm knitting on. I am crocheting something I thought I would share with you. Our church has a prayer group, a prayer shawl group. We make up prayer shawls, knitting or crochet, and have them stacked up in a basket so they're available to go out when needed, just to give a tangible sign of hopes and prayers and good wishes and love. And this is one I'm working on now. It's a crochet. It's just a shell pattern, shell lace pattern. Super simple and super soothing to work on. And it's just Caron Simply Soft acrylic. It needs to be acrylic so they can wash them in the machine and have it be easy care. Gorgeous teal color. Size H crochet hook. Probably could have done with a larger crochet hook for a little more loose look, but I'm okay with it. I think I'm about 2/3 done, maybe half done. But that's been a nice project, a nice variety to throw in with other things. And I get to crochet during church, so it's pastor approved. Although I don't know if all the congregants know that, so I sort of sit in the back and hope I don't think I distract. Once in a while my crochet hook does fall on the floor. Ding, 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 ding. That's embarrassing. It's all for a good cause, though. So moving on, let's see. I've covered whips, FOs. Oh, there was another knitting project that I was going to share, but I don't think that I brought it out. And that's fine. I have plenty of other things to talk about today. I feel like I have a lot to talk about today. It's so exciting. I think it's just energizing just to be outside in springtime. One thing I haven't done yet is sip the tea. So today It's Rubius tea. Is that how you say it? Rubus? Rubius? Red, African red bush tea. Let's see if it's, well, it's orange. It's getting redder. Yep. I've, I've heard about this tea, but never really tried it. And then when I saw the series, the #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexandra McCall Smith, I hadn't read the books, but my daughter brought home the TV DVDs of the only one and only season they made, unfortunately. It was great. We love it. I loved it, and I really would love to see it again. But the Ladies Detective Agency are always drinking their bush tea, and that's what this is. This is their bush tea. It's good. I don't know how to describe it, really. It's not like black tea at all, and I was going to look up what it actually is, but probably most of you know. So, it tastes a little spicy. This is one of my favorite teacups. Sadly, it has a chip in it, but my dear friend Linda gave it to me probably 10 or 15 years ago. It's really good. It's good on an outdoor day. This is kind of crazy, but I'll stick with it. Yeah, so that's the tea. Today is our bush tea. A couple of the new things I talked about last time I haven't touched, like the rattan shawl by Libby Johnson. I've just tried to get some of those socks and things done so that I can move on. And I've also worked on my Shetland Fair Isle project, the Pete Hill vest by Hazel Tyndall. But it's just the same, really. It's just a little bit more progress on the same thing, but really enjoyable. And so I think I'm gonna move on to some sewing, and I'll share a little success first before I get into the woes. This is a little basket. The pattern is the 1-hour basket tutorial, and I think it took me more than an hour, but I didn't do it all in one sitting. So this is cozy. I'm gonna snug it up a little bit because it's starting to chill out here. Anyway, it's just lined, the boxy bottom, really stiff interfacing in between, and it's an open thing to hold. Right now it's holding my my crochet squares scrappy sock blanket for a buzz. Yeah, it's a good thing to just sit by the chair of an evening, grab a square and attach to the shawl, the blanket. And then I remember I talked about I was sewing a shirt, a long sleeve shirt. It was the Astor pattern. I've forgotten who designed it. I should have that with me, but I don't. And I had made a really bad botchy up mistake here up at the placket and the neckline. And a visitor to our Ravelry group told me a way to fix that using stitch witchery and a little scrap of fabric, which was a super idea. Well, the botch, that wasn't the placket botch. That was where I snipped a little hole in it with my snippers, and it wasn't really a hole, it was just a slice. So I put that little scrap on the back of it with stitch witchery, and it really did a nice job of, from a distance you may not see. Up close, it just looks like a nub in the linen. But I had misread the instructions for the placket and the bias tape on the neckline. I'm really new to sewing. I did sew as a kid in middle school, a couple things. I sewed my kids some things when they were little and a couple dresses over the years. What was I thinking about? One of the first things that I sewed, can't remember now what it was, after being married. And a little dress, a little sundress. My husband, Buzz, had a sewing machine. I didn't, and his sewing machine was one of those that, I think it was electric, but it had a knee thing under, so that to make it go, you would just push this bar with your knee, not a foot treadle or a foot pedal, but a knee, thing. And that's what I sewed that first little sundress on. I've forgotten. He was a sewer in his time. He actually sewed himself some blue jeans. He sewed himself a a sheepskin vest, which he still has. He was quite the hippie dude, self-sufficient, busy buzz guy. So actually the first year after that, when I think it was our second year together, he bought me a sewing machine for Christmas. And that's the machine that I just replaced this past winter. I'm rocking on the, oh no, I hope I'm not doing that much. I'll sit still. Anyway, that's the machine I replaced. That was an old Kenmore, which had problems. And I've loved my new machine. It's a Nechi, which is made by Janome. It's just the first level of electronic computerized, and it's been super great, and I've been excited about sewing, but now I'm after messing up and learning my lesson to make a muslin first. Make a mock-up. I've never done that, and now I have 2 experiences now where I wish I had done that. I'm so impatient, and I figure I'll know how to do it. I'll just follow the directions. Boy, was I humbled. So I was humbled on this project in that neck placket thing. I should have gotten advice from someone before I attempted to do it. Then actually I learned how to make buttonholes on my new machine, which was fantastic, and it worked. And I had them all marked, and then I went to slice them up, or no, I sliced through and I went to place my buttonhole markings. And I don't know if you can see that, but these were all in the right place. And then this one, I started on the top mark and went up from there instead of starting on the bottom. So that second buttonhole is totally out of place. After that, I just thought, oh, I can't fix this. I already sliced through. I suppose I could do the stitch witchery thing again if I pulled out all the buttonhole thread and stuck some stitch witchery inside the whole facing thing. Now that might be worth doing, just to see if it works. And then if it doesn't, I'll cut it up for project bags, bottoms. It's beautiful fabric. It's a linen cotton blend from, the store in Maine. It's just lovely. But I also learned that the pattern fits well. I could have maybe liked it a little longer. So next time and the sleeves are super long. They're too long for me. So I will make shorter sleeves and a longer body. So that's all good. That's all learning. I just wish I had done it on a lot cheaper fabric. And if I do fix the buttonhole, I'll just wear it around at home, and I'll just think about what I learned, and that'll be good. Then I picked up the pattern by Ellen Mason. I did one of her sweaters, if you remember the Joan Fuller cardigan this winter. And she also is a seamstress or sewist, whatever we call ourselves. And she just put out a brand new sewing pattern, her first, called the Anne Carolyn Smock. Anne Carolyn is her sister-in-law. She names her projects after people in her life, which is so cute. Anyway, I did the smock with a, alternate color for the front. And everything went really well. And this was just quilt cotton from Joanne. So at least I got smart with that. But I really liked it, so I wanted it to be something I would wear. And I think that I just watched a YouTube video on applying bias binding on a neckline. And the way they did it was totally different from how I understood the directions in the pattern. I thought the bias tape was supposed to be a visible part of the neckline. And I couldn't understand why it was so narrow, and I have a feeling I was supposed to fold it all the way down in the back like that so you wouldn't see it. So I'll have to send Ellen a note and see what she meant, or review the instructions. But I love the pattern. The neckline is awesome. It's nice and cool for us girls who have our personal summers all the time. And proportions were great, and even the gathering, which had scared me because I generally don't like doing the gathering, it came out fine. It's so subtle, and the sleeves were fun. So in terms of sewing success, I'd say 95% success, except it's a little small for me. So I have to slim down a little bit or make the bigger pattern, but we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, 2 big projects and nothing to wear yet. That's all right. I knew that was the risk when I started in on it, and I still look forward to trying some other things because I realized I would love to do more handmade clothing, tops, dresses. I might even wear a dress again someday if I found one in the fabric I loved. And I've never taken the time to look and explore, and I'm kind of opening up my mind to the possibilities of now that I've got my machine and a little experience. I don't want to give up so soon, and I have ideas that I think would be worthwhile. So I encourage you guys too, if any of you are doing some handmade wardrobe things, to keep at it. And if you have ideas or suggestions or experience with these two patterns, please let me know. Send me a message or hop on the Ravelry group and speak up. You hear the bell ringing? That is my wind chime that is supposed to replicate the sound of the bell buoys off the coast of Maine. And even one specific harbor, which I can't remember which one it was. Kids gave it to me for Christmas years ago. I just love it. I love hearing the bell buoys out there on the water. Just makes you feel close to the sea. So I'm going to move on to some spinning, I think, next. Did the sewing. Oh, I do have a note here about sewing boxes. I would love to revamp my sewing tools and notions stuff storage. And I just have a little plastic box from Joann's shop, which I've used for 20 years probably. It has an upper layer in it and then the big bottom, two plastic handles. It looks like a picnic basket, but it's plastic. And it just doesn't inspire me. I would love something that's pretty, that's practical and a good size. So if you have any suggestions or ideas, send me a picture or put out some thoughts. I might put a thread on the Ravelry group. It's not too active over there. I'd love to hear from you guys. If you have anything along those lines, just let me know. Time for a sip. Yeah. Yeah, the hand spinning. I've actually been doing some spinning again. It's so exciting. I was trying to finish the Shetland lamb, oatmeal colored. Actually, I found out from the label that its lamb is called Oatmeal Cookie. Isn't she cute? Oatmeal Cookie from Contented Butterfly Farm, who are in Windsor, Vermont. Picked this up at Massachusetts Sheep and Wool last year, and I finally finished the 4 ounces and made it into a 3-ply, kind of bulky. It is bulky for sure. It's almost like rope. I think that I spun it too tightly or too densely. I didn't really spin it Shetland style. I had to spin it more. I'm not Shetland. Woolen. I had to spin it more worsted-ish, semi-worsted, because I had to have more control over the roving. But I love the color. I just love, if you can see the little oatmeal splatches here and there, it is the perfect description. So at the time I wanted to do a swatch with the other hank. I had been seeing everyone with their hand wound balls of yarn on podcasts and things, and I was just trying to think, what is it about the hand wound balls of yarn that everyone loves so much? There's my phone, and I'm going to ignore it. Oh, I was going to close the door. Well, we'll see what happens. So I hand wound a ball, and I have to say, I didn't really experience the zen of hand winding so much. I love my, ball winder thingy because I like the cakes a lot. I do love the feel of a nice ball of yarn, but somebody's leaving a message. I'll probably try and edit this out. Okay, back to spinning. The ball winding. I love it at this point. And the winding was okay, but it took a while. Might have been better if I had the hank on my Swift. I just had it around my knees. So maybe I'll try the second ball like that. So I did a swatch, and the yarn is kind of like knitting with rope. It's not what I'd hoped. But I'm going to persevere. I am going to design a hat, a cabley, bulky knit hat, and I'll get back to you on how that goes. I've cast on twice already, and just couldn't get my numbers right. I don't know. I want to design things, but I sure see how much time it takes, and that kind of puts me off. But I can certainly start with a hat, and I will get back to you. The one nice thing about a yarn ball, though, is it allows me to use this. This is a yarn bowl that was given to me by a dear friend. Oh, and she bought it in Nova Scotia. Oh, some I can't see the name of it. Oh well. Anyway, lovely, lovely gift from Nova Scotia. I'm so psyched. So it has the little thing where your yarn, pulls out from. And I think this is so you can rest your needles if you're using straight needles. Such a lovely gift. So I'm really happy I have a yarn ball to use that with. Thank you, Phyllis. And other spinning, I've been spinning the Jacob from Marshmallow Farm. I don't have anything plied yet. This is where they're from. And Sean Mallinson and Sarah Nicoli in Fort Plain, New York. They had some lovely bundles of fluff at the Massachusetts Sheep and Wool last year. I finished all the gray, and I have to do the rest of the brown, which is gorgeous chocolate brown, and the white. And then I thought I would show you some other hand spun that I did a couple years ago. It's Nash Island worsted weight, and I dyed it in some weld that I had grown 2 summers ago. The weld, it was a very small patch, and it grew so well. And look at the colors that it created. I mean, the yellow is so vivid. It's almost fluorescent from one weld plant. And there's this one, there's another that fell on the floor, and there was a whole bunch of roving, or not even roving, just locks that I dyed, with the hopes of over-dyeing them in an indigo pot. So some I'll keep as yellow, perhaps, as an accent color, but most of it will go in the dye pot to make green. Lincoln green, is that the word I couldn't remember last time? Forgot to look that up. It would be the color that supposedly Robin Hood wore in his outfit in the woods in Sherwood Forest. Oh, wouldn't you know, the UPS guy is stopping. Oh no, I guess I have to stop. Okay, he's been and gone. What was I talking about? Oh, the Lincoln green maybe, and the yellow from weld. I have planted my new Zinnia, indigo seeds, and the little sprouts are just coming up. So we'll give it another try this year. Last year I had a lovely patch. It was so hot I never got out to do any dyeing. This year, hoping for better weather, hoping for better motivation. I almost didn't plant them because I was so discouraged with myself for not doing it. There's plenty of room in the garden. Buzz encouraged me, just go ahead, do a dozen plants. If you don't plant them, you won't be dying with it. So, and if I don't die with the plants are there, they'll just go back into the earth like the ones did last year. No big deal. So those are on the move. So now moving to the weaving report news. Sometimes you get a dog on the loom, and sometimes no matter how hard you force yourself and try to see it through to the end, it just must not be meant to be. So I finally admitted that was the case with the baby wrap-a-warp. And as another weaver told me one time, the weaver's eraser. This is the weaver's eraser, pair of scissors. So after all the hours I put in, and finding that there were various reasons this was not going to work, based on my mistakes, and then based on my friend's results with the same yarn, which after all the work, if it all fell apart like hers did, even worse. I finally succumbed and got out the weaver's eraser, cut it off the loom. So it was tough. I had to tell my niece, it's not going to happen, but she probably wasn't surprised. But it did allow me to move on, and a friend of mine has commissioned me to start a towel project in special colors for a person's college alma mater. And here they are, garnet, black, and white. And it's Cotylin from Brassard's. I got it through Webs, I think. And it's 60% cotton, 40% linen. It makes a gorgeous kitchen towel. Super drapey and absorbent and strong. I've used it before and I just really liked it. So that's exciting. I've planned out the warp. I just have to measure the warp, get it on the loom, get going. It's going to be a simple plain weave pattern with just sort of window pane squares with little borders of white running between the garnet and the black. So that should be enjoyable, and a nice cleansing of my weaving palette, because it's simple to warp, simple to put on the loom, simple to thread, and then simple to weave. I'm so ready for that. And I have a wedding blanket to work on to get planned and set up. So I'm hoping that the weaving will pick up the rest of this month and May, because the wedding is early June, so I really have to move it on that too. So, and then I had mentioned the strips, the rag strips that I picked up in Maine, and I finally brought those up to show you. This is just a small sampling of all many different colors, and some are 2 inches wide. And my friend Amy and I grabbed these so that we could do some rag rugs. And I'm waiting to hear from another weaver if I have to wash these or something before I use them. I don't think I do, but I'm not sure. So I have several weavers in the area who are wonderful mentors and have so much experience and very generous with their advice. So I got to connect with them, see what they say about that. So, what's on the horizon? Oh, we're going to make a trip to Maine at the end of the month. Going to Connecticut, and my daughter's going with me and probably driving, so there's some knitting opportunity. Next week to see my friend defend her dissertation, Early American History. She's worked like 10 years on this and is finally finishing it. So exciting. So I'm looking forward to that big time, except I'm not looking forward to figuring out what to wear. Oh well, the whole world doesn't need to know this, so I'm just moving along and chatting. My daughter is preparing to go on a 6-month hike on the Appalachian Trail starting 2 months from now. So that's kind of exciting, although it's kind of scary. If any of you guys have friends or family who have done this and you have some encouraging information or thoughts to share, please be my guest. Bring them at me. She's researching a lot. She's going with 2 girlfriends and one who has had a lot of experience. They're going for a practice week at the end of the month. They did a practice week last summer, and they also did a practice sleep out the other night in our backyard, and it was 18 degrees when they woke up in the morning. And my daughter's friend was warm because she had a lining and a proper pad on the ground. My daughter was chilly because she did not have a lining in her bag, and she also had an air pad, a sleeping pad, which is sort of like Swiss cheese. It had holes in it. I'm not sure what the purpose of those are, but she'd been given that to try out, and so now we know that's not the best for winter camping. So God bless her. She's doing her best to get ready and to do it well and to be careful and connect with other people. And she is going to be writing a blog with Appalachian Trials website. And it's super exciting. I'm happy for her. Of course, I'm nervous and scared, and if I think too much, I really get nervous and scared. But at the same time, I think it's really neat that she has the opportunity to do it. I admire her courage and her strength of soul that it's going to require to see it through, and I'm happy for her. So I can update you on that someday too if you're curious as the months roll by. And at Chickenwood, like I was saying, we're just on the edge of spring. Buzz has got the garden ready. He's got a patch of spinach growing out there and some kale. He took down all the fences from the old sheep pasture, which was kind of sad for a few days for me. All I could think of was the the little baby lambs that were running around and our kids. But I also think about how nice it'll be to just take off and travel and not have to worry about people taking care of the sheep. So I can get that too. So I guess that's the latest from Chickenwood. I'm going to go out for dinner and hear some music tonight with Buzz, which is kind of fun. Local restaurants having, I think, some like New Orleans jazz playing and some New Orleans dinner items, and so that'll be fun. We don't do that very often. I'll bring some knitting too. Anywho, I guess I'll just get off. I want to thank you again for watching. Thank you also for returning, if you're a returning viewer, if you've subscribed. And if you would like to subscribe, go ahead and find that little red button on your screen down there somewhere or there. And you can get notified of future podcasts being posted. On Ravelry, I am Piper Mom. On Instagram, I am LF Dubois. I changed it from LMF to LF Dubois when I realized that LMF has an association with some texting shorthand, which I thought might not be great to have associated with my name. So LF Dubois is my Instagram name now. And what else is there? That's pretty much it. I'm taking a hiatus off of Facebook anyway. And that's what I'll be, where you can find me if you're interested. Our group on Ravelry is Chickenwood Studio Podcast. So, happy spring, everybody. I hope you're well and inspired by all the beautifulness around us to renew your energies toward what you're working on and what you hope to achieve, or places you'd like to go, or any of that stuff. I wish you peace and joy of the day, and good knitting, spinning, sewing, etc., etc. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.